to the Good Morning Show with Oliver O.T. Thomas.
We're back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Oliver O.T. Thomas, the early bird entire WBOK listening audience. Man, let's not forget about the Lower Ninth Ward meeting tonight. Gosh, it's election time. Bram Calhoun, Walter Goodwin, Mr. Waiters, and that whole team down there, man, is organizing and energizing the Lower Ninth Ward. That meeting is tonight at 5:30 at 5234 North Claiborne. Go out and support this community that's fighting not only to make sure it has the proper representation, but fighting to make sure that it has the attention and the commitment that every neighborhood, no matter where you are, geographically, culturally, in terms of race, no matter whatever every neighborhood needs. So that's the Lower Ninth Ward meeting tonight at 5234 North Claiborne for 5:30. Welcome back to our Meet the Candidate series. I want to thank former Senator and candidate for District Council in Jefferson Parish, Derek Shepard, for participating. But in the studio with us now is no stranger to the WBOK listening audience. He was one of the foundations of this station, man, after Katrina, to make sure that it came back, to make sure that our community had a voice. None other than former council member, now candidate for District 3, Pastor Donald Jones. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show.
It's great to be
You're
here.
back home.
Back home, and I want to commend WBOK for doing this. It's an excellent public service, and it just speaks of what this station is all about, and most especially you doing a great job. So
Well, thank you, man. I stand on the shoulders of folk like you. You know, you guys came and bought into our community, man. Gave this station a voice early on, and what we're trying to do right now is build on that legacy. So
praise the Lord.
Thank you too. First of all, council member, who is Donald Jones again, for folk who don't know, and why this foray back into politics?
Well, first let me say that I think you have the best group of candidates that have ever run for office in Jefferson Parish.
I have not seen more experience in former elected or position. I was actually going to say that. I thought about that before you stepped in, that you probably have more government and public policy experience in this race than any other race in the state.
And both business people, and so you got an entree of people, and that gives the people of Jefferson an opportunity to make a great choice. Mm-hmm. Not having to think I am the best choice, mm-hmm. but that doesn't take away from the qualifications and dedication of all the other people in the race. And so that's key, and I just want to commend those people who are in the race. For those who don't know me, I graduated from Xavier University, AP Clay Bible College, started my first business in 1987. Mm-hmm. with $25,000 equity borrowed against my home, and I'm proud to say some 30 years later that business is still operating on the West Bank of Jefferson Parish. So understand business, understand politics, understand the business of politics. Now, that's key. A lot of people can talk a good game, but understanding the business of politics, understanding the ability to form coalitions and bring people together, that's what's important.
And talk about that business of politics in Jefferson Parish. We know our boundaries are a little different. The politics are distinct, and from one place or one community to the next. What makes this District 3 in Jefferson Parish so different?
District 3 is probably the most diverse district, geographically, economically, socially, politically, in the parish. It's made up of just a diverse group of people. But as your former host just said, it has the greatest opportunity. And that's key, because the growth and development is going to happen in District 3. And that's why planning is so important. The ability to plan, the ability to bring together diverse minds, diverse groups, and people who understand what their needs are and are willing to collaborate and get it done. I was listening. Ask yourself this question. I know you've noticed it. Why is it between the 312 Junction and Boutique, you can have a Winn-Dixie, a Walmart, you can have 5 banks, you can have every social need that you could possibly need on Highway 90. And between Wagman and Louisiana Avenue, where you have almost 30,000 people, you have nothing. Mm-hmm. It all relates back to planning. Economic development and planning.
I think the folk in New Orleans East, they were probably they would probably ask that same
Same
question.
And the key is having someone who understands the nature of business and politics. To give you an example, Manhattan Boulevard was not an accident. We looked at Veterans Boulevard and we looked at what they did on Veterans Boulevard, and we said we needed a Veterans Boulevard on the West Bank. So we got with Darrell Berger, the Solomon Brothers, brought the Palace Theater to Manhattan, brought Walmart to Manhattan, spent $5 million on infrastructure, and you see the results of
And that started under your tenure?
That's correct.
Okay.
And you see the difference today. The Lapalco Corridor, we saw a need, went to Washington, got $63 million, and turned Lapalco from a one-lane, two-lane highway to the thoroughfare you see today. Those are the kind of initiatives that you have to be able to do. Now, all those things were done in the 1990s. You've had a absence of progressive leadership. What I mean by that, you've had sort of a caretaker mentality.
Leadership has not continued that
That's
growth,
correct.
you're saying.
Yeah, the foundations that we laid in the 1990s, those predecessors just maintained the status quo. So as the West Bank started to grow and develop, you needed to do even more. So we laid a solid foundation for growth that needed to continue. I'll give you an example. The Jefferson Parish did not have what you call 330 clinics. Dr. Robert Dawson and A.J. Gilmore and Deidre Joseph, myself, went to Florida and Washington, D.C., and brought back $10 million to form the first 330 clinics in the history of Jefferson Parish. Now, we built 3 of those clinics. One on the East Bank, which was the flagship, which is closed, and I was shocked when I started campaigning and saw that East Jefferson Community Health Center was closed. 2 on the West Bank. Why is that important? Healthcare is a major issue that impacts people. Under the Obamacare program, $13 billion were allocated to advanced community health centers. We should have 10 or 12 community health centers in District 3 in Jefferson Parish.
And Donald Jones elected to District 3. You're saying that you're going to build on those 3.
That's correct.
To get to 10.
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is open the one they closed on the East Bank, which was the mothership. That was the first $6 million. And then we're going to build on that and put community health centers in those communities that need it.
So let's talk.
And that's the economic now.
Right.
But let me just, because I heard the economics of it. Now you're talking about $30-40 million in economic development. You got real estate people who are going to make money. You got banks who are going to make money. You got developers who are going to make money. You got people who are going to have jobs. That's economic planning. That's economic development. That's addressing the need and creating a value. I can sit and fight all day on something that I know is not a reality. And until the demographics, and I'll be glad if you put me out, until the demographics change in Jefferson Parish and you get more people, we have to go in and we have to create an economy like Manny Jackson.
Why would I put you out?
I'm joking with you.
I know.
Like Manny Jackson did in Atlanta. What Manny Jackson did, he didn't say, I'm going to come here and infringe on what you built. What I'm going to do is that when we expand this airport and we make it 3 times bigger, those historically underutilized businesses who haven't been able to participate, people who can do driveways and people who can pour streets, we're going to let them participate in the airport. So you expand the pie. And as you expand the pie and you grow the pie, you get people to buy into your economic vision.
So what you're saying right now is that, and let's put it out there, we've been talking about the economic disparity. The candidate before you, former Senator Shepard,
who is a good man, by the way,
who basically said that he's for a parish-wide DBE program. You're saying not yet, or you're saying?
What I'm saying is that you fight the battles you need to win. What we have to do, there's a DBE program in Jefferson Parish now. Yes.
Okay.
It's a requirement that all contracts that have federal dollars be used across the board.
Those are federal contracts,
That's
not
right.
parish contracts.
But the majority of the work and opportunities come from the federal dollars and infrastructure improvement. What I'm suggesting to you is this: why not do what Manny Jackson did in Atlanta? Why not say, look, we're going to expand this pie? And one of the reasons why the economics of the clinics worked, West Jefferson, East Jefferson Hospital was not going to set up a DBE program. But if you got 14 330 lookalike clinics in Jefferson Parish, you now compete with East and West Jefferson Hospital on an economic scale. So as you design these programs, you find the best and the brightest and you introduce them in. We were able to bring African American businesses into do business opportunity in Jefferson Parish. You had the capacity. Oliver, when we brought Boomtown to Jefferson Parish, on a 4-3 vote, I brought Boomtown to Jefferson Parish. No, I did that. I created a gaming district. Cut a deal with Boomtown, a cooperative endeavor agreement, that 40 to 50% of their jobs, their business opportunities will go to historical and utilized businesses. Because we created something new. Boomtown needed a place to locate. We created a gaming district and we said, look, we want active participation from Jefferson Parish citizens. And it happened.
We're talking to former council member District 3, businessman and pastor
Yes.
Donald Jones, who's now a candidate for District 3. Body cameras for...
And I got to go back to why I'm in a race. 'Cause I
Okay.
skipped that.
Okay, go ahead.
Why I'm in a race, about 120 days ago, some community leaders and business people came to me and they talked to me. And they said, look, the demographics and the politics of Jefferson Parish are changing. We may need to consider splitting this parish. Because as Senator Shepherd said, the West Bank is majority African American. Now in the 1990s, we talked about splitting the parish. People don't think it's possible, but you do have East and West Baton Rouge.
Absolutely.
So they said, look, do you believe that your people need to have access? I said, of course. I said, do you believe in God? None of them are pastor, that's a trick. Of course I believe in God. I said, but I trust God more. And I said, this season is over with for me. They said, Donald, if it wasn't for Adam Clayton Powell, who was pastor of Ascension Baptist Church in Harlem, 10,000 people, you wouldn't have the Head Start program. You wouldn't have many of the government set-aside programs. If it wasn't for Dr. King and his crew, we would probably still be sitting behind the bus. I told them, I said, let me pray on this. Let me look at it in detail. So I prayed on it for 30 days. And two pastors, one from the East Bank, one from the West Bank, came to me and said, Donald, you've been praying on something, you need to move on it. The third confirmation for me was a young lady, and she called me and she said, I'm sitting at a bar, me and my husband are having a nightcap, and there's a man drunker than me asking me to vote for him for Jefferson Parish Council. You got to get involved. And that's when I made the decision I was going to get involved, because...
Is that not a candidate now?
Yes. Yeah, it is a candidate. She said he's drunker than me, asking me to vote for the Jefferson Parish Council. And so I took it, prayed on it, and so that's why I'm here today.
Well, just between us, right here, you know who the...
Of course I do. I mean, I know who it is, but I'm not gonna out him out like that now.
Well, if he was that drunk and he could state his platform, hey,
all of us have skeletons in the closet. So look, I don't want him to start pulling my.
I didn't start it already.
I know.
You know how this game goes. We're talking to Pastor Pete, preacher, businessman, teacher, former councilman for District 3, and candidate again for District 3. Body cameras, Jefferson Parish police officer.
I think it's mandatory.
Okay.
And what surprises me is that that the sheriff don't take that position. When I looked at
the sheriff was on a show and he said that they had the funding. If the funding was there to do it, if he could find a revenue source.
Listen, I like Sheriff LaPinto, but that's a red herring that's being disingenuous. The sheriff has a $180 million budget. There was a cooperative agreement between the sheriff of Orleans and the police chief of New Orleans, where they each one got a $1.5 million grant to do those types of things. You look at the sheriff's audit from 2018; those funds are in there. The sheriff has the capacity to pick up the phone, go to Baton Rouge, go to Washington D.C., and lobby and bring those type of funds back. I told you earlier, we brought over $60 million back to redo Lapalco from Harvey to Highway 90. So the sheriff has the capacity to do that, and I'm going to encourage him, if I'm elected the council person, to make that a top priority, because I think he's doing a good job, but the incidents with a young man being killed in his house after the fact and no body cams or no evidence disturbed me. The kids being shot, although were followed at the IHOP, disturbed me. So if I'm elected Jefferson Parish Council, just like I worked with Sheriff Lee, I'll work with Sheriff LaPinta to make sure that the police officers have body cams.
I want to ask you a question that I thought about this, but I hadn't asked anyone else, but you've sparked the interest in me. Jefferson Parish and New Orleans, so close but yet so far. What's the biggest difference in Jefferson Parish politics and New Orleans politics, and why are they so different?
Can I be candid?
This is a Good Morning Show, real talk for real time.
What happened is that when you were on the council and Mark was mayor, there was a great effort to reach out to Jefferson Parish, and the Jefferson Parish to reach out to New Orleans.
I started the first joint council meetings. With Jefferson Parish.
And I think that was lost. With you leaving and Mark leaving, the former mayor leaving, Mark Morio, you as a council person leaving, that impetus was lost. I think that's critically important today to cross the lines and have those type of meetings, those type of dialogues, because the city of New Orleans made it easy for me to do business in Jefferson Parish. It made it easier for me to get people in Orleans and Jefferson Parish to be able to do business, instead of people in Orleans doing business in Jefferson doing business in both Orleans and Jefferson. You guys made it easier to cross the river, and I think that's something that's missing, and that's something I would like to reinstall.
We have about a minute and a half left. Former council member, and for folk who don't know, successful pastor, very successful businessman. What you do with digital television and technology is unbelievable. You started here, you've expanded that business. You have an office building over on the West Bank. Share with our listening audience why they should vote for former council member, now candidate Donald Jones.
When you think about, this is what I would tell the people. If you needed to have heart surgery, would you want an intern or a first-year medical student? Or would you want a tried physician, a specialist, who has had hundreds of heart surgeries done? You have an excellent group of candidates, but there are probably only one or two people who are specialists at making things happen in Jefferson Parish government. I'm one of those individuals.
And Donald Jones is that special?
That's correct.
You promise to come back?
Of course. Win, lose, draw, I'm always here.
Former council member for District 3, pastor, preacher, businessman in Jefferson Parish, now candidate again, Derek Shepard. First of all, thank you again from all of our family here at WBOK, man. The work that you and Pastor Littleton did in establishing this station so that we could have something to build on. We could never repay you guys for that. We appreciate you for that. What an amazing opportunity. I actually do think, like Pastor Jones says, that when I look at this race in District 3, it probably has some of the most political talent, some of the most diverse experiences with a lot of people, man, that whether it's business, social community, or in public policy and being elected, there's a lot to choose from in District 3 in Jefferson Parish. It's an interesting election.